Welcome to Sit.Stay.Read, the podcast for every wag, whinny, and whisker. I'm Kathleen Donnelly, award-winning author and retired canine handler. Each week, I chat with novelists about the bond we share with our furry friends and how they inspire stories. Grab a coffee, get cozy with your favorite pet. It's time to sit, stay, read. Well, today I am excited to welcome a fellow horse lover to the show. T.K.Sheffield writes the Backyard Model Mysteries, but today we're going to talk to her about one of her latest releases, Nellie's Island. It's a wonderful picture book that features an adorable little pony and takes the reader on many adventures on Mackinac Island. Welcome, TK. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I am thrilled to be here, and congratulations to you on a brand new podcast. I'm just delighted that I'm here to chat about books and animals and horses in Mackinac Island.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on, and like I said, you're my first horse person. I mean, I'm sure the other guests I've had on have horses in their life, but you're the first horse book, I should say. So It's really thrilling to have you on. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about Nellie's Island, the overview of the story, your inspiration behind it.
Oh, thank you for asking. This book was from the heart. I was I was born a horse-loving girl, and I never had dolls. It was always horse statues. Collected them, was fascinated by them, and I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin. So if you were in Wisconsin, you know about Mackinac Island, Michigan, which is there's no cars. It's an island of horses only, and it's, I believe, rated now the #1 travel island destination in the US. It's home of the Grand Hotel, the movie Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour. It's this magical place. Well, as a young horse-loving girl, Mackinac for me was the place. I couldn't wait to get there. I finally did, visited many, many times, and I looked around the island, and it's these gorgeous draft horses pulling carriages and the drays, and you have some private homes with carriage horses, and they have a riding club on the island too. And I was just in heaven. And then I took my children there, and they were fascinated. And I always said to myself, what if you were small? What if a pony came here? Because when you first, it's one thing to love horses, it's another to be next to one and realize how big they are. And draft,
Yes.
not to mention draft horses. And so I just said, okay, there's a story here somewhere. So I wrote a story about a tiny pony who was frustrated by her size, and she couldn't reach through the fence and eat grass, and she was always last at everything. And she realizes she needed to have a place in the world, and she needed to make an impact and be herself. And her mother always said, be every inch you are and then some more. Well, she finds her way onto Mackinac on the ship, and she gets, she learns to pull the cart happily, and she realized she can go places where the big horses can't. So she gets to do all the fun things the big horses cannot do, and all the children love her because she's their size. And so then in the course of the story, you tour the island and you see Arch Rock and you see the Iroquois Hotel and you see the beautiful streets and you see the Grand Hotel. So that's the story.
I love it. And Nellie is really a special pony. You really nailed ponies. Did you ever have one that you drove or that
There was a
you?
real Nellie. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
asking. There was a real Nellie. She was bold for a small pony. I found her in the middle of Iowa. I thought my children would get into horses, and I thought, okay, they need ponies. So I found this pony this is back before the internet. I didn't even see a picture of her. I just knew there was this nice moving pony. And I went out and saw her and loved her and brought her home. And she had the biggest, boldest trot you could imagine. There must have been some kind of harness horse breeding in her. And, she just had this dressage horse trot. And she was too much for my young girls. So I had to find a new home for her. And I did. And she ended up at a hunter jumper barn, jumping beautifully. And the trainer said she had no refusal in her. She was so bold. She could jump anything and would. And she had a great life. Turned out very, very well for her. And I was very pleased because she was in the middle of a pasture doing nothing. And so there was a real life Nellie. And I thought that if I'm going to put a pony on Mackinac, it's going to be a pony like that one.
Oh, I love it. I had a pony growing up, and then I had a pony recently, a little rescue pony.
Oh, you did?
Unfortunately, she's gone now, but little Sadie was a little bay pony. And so I think when you read the book, if you've had any ponies in your life, you just automatically you see them in Nellie. And I love that. So,
Oh,
and
thank you.
yeah, and I think a lot of ponies are bold. That's maybe something
Yep.
people don't know. They can hold their own with the big horses. So
Well, they're like, we were talking about earlier, we were talking about small dogs like, Jack Russells. They have to be bold because otherwise they
yeah,
get stepped on. So, so you
exactly.
need to know they're there and they've got to be little, fireballs. And it's okay. If you understand that's their nature and you understand that's how they survive, you work around it.
Exactly. You do. That's a good way to put it. If anyone has a pony out there, they understand or has had
Yes.
one, they will definitely understand that. I'd love to dive more into your horse background because your bio has a wonderful quote that it basically says, I would not be the writer I am without horses. So I'd love to hear more about the horses, what other books you put them in, all the adventures they've inspired.
It's funny and it's 100% true. Horses shaped me as a writer. They shaped me as a person. I rode and trained for many, many years, and you learn communication and you learn patience. You learn stick-to-itiveness. You learn that not every day is going to be a perfect day, but you keep coming back to your goal. And you have to learn communication well because they have no ulterior motive, right? They're not out
Mhm.
to make your day worse than it is or to hurt you in it. I mean, they're not out to emotionally sabotage you.
Right.
So you have to learn patience and read them. And I think that sort of character study lends itself well to writing because we read people, right? And write
Mhm.
about characters. So if you understand animals, you can write wonderful characters. And then if you bring them into your story, in storytelling now, it's very hard to find heroes. Most of them are flawed. And so when you have an animal foil, they can bring things into it like clarity. They can a hero's journey, in fact, you can use with an animal. I think there's a lot of ways that they enhance storytelling, as you well know, with
Yeah.
Juniper,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
um,
definitely.
so the backyard model mysteries, the main character's best friend runs a horse rescue. And the main character in this particular book, in the Backyard Model Mysteries, doesn't know anything about horses, but she sponsors a draft horse mare named Tulip. And she's on the unlimited carrot plan, which is the equivalent of an unlimited phone plan. And every time she interacts with the horses, my main character becomes more emotional and in touch with her emotions because she has repressed them for so long.
Yeah.
So that is the writing device that an animal serves in those particular books.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Because there's, like you said, so many great lessons animals can teach us. Horses, dogs, rescues, especially. They have, to me, just another quality of teaching us forgiveness and empathy and bringing all that out.
Ex exactly. And I wrote a couple notes before we chatted. And I thought about what are the main animal characters that inspired me. And I read the at first it was the James Herriot vet books. When I was a girl,
Yes.
you never heard about a veterinarian writing stories. It was so
Yeah.
new. And so I
Yeah.
read them all, couldn't wait to read the next one. And he didn't start writing till after 50 years old. So if anyone's listening who's thinking about writing novels after
I didn't
50,
know that. Oh, nice.
there's your
Yeah.
info. But
Yeah.
I loved what he did with animals and how important they were to every, basically it's a series of small chapters, right? Individual stories, almost short stories. But it was so, so important. And then I thought about what is like one of the most influential animal characters I've ever seen, and it's Bugs Bunny. Right? He was
That's
he
true.
was a
Yeah.
foil, he was the main character, he was a mastermind, he was a little devilish now and then. And you think about how, how great it was to see this giant rabbit pulling tricks on everybody and outsmarting everyone. So, talk about an animal who really impacted society. You look at Bugs
That's
Bunny.
true. That's true. That is one I had not thought about, but you are absolutely right. I love it. That's so true. Oh my gosh. Well, and I think too, what I loved about your book is while it's meant for children, it's a picture book. As an adult, I just absolutely, I thought this is for readers of all ages. When you wrote it, were you thinking about that? I mean, I guess picture books are for both the kids and the reader reading out loud to them, but
No, it was. It is. When I wrote it, yes, definitely. And I have to give a shout out to the artist, Starry Gazy Studios in Wales. I gave her my concept and the text, and she is the one who ran with the pictures. She studied it. She wanted it. I said, let's make it a little retro. And so she put in the old school looking ship that,
cool.
the ferry ship that Nellie goes
Yeah.
back and forth on. And just every single picture was her imagination, no AI. It was all her drawing these pictures. And then she
Oh,
turned
cool.
around and turned some of them into wallpaper. So if you want to see more, go to starrygazystudios.com and you'll see the wallpaper she uses and she'll see more of the images that she created.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, she did wonderful images. I'd love to hear more about the process. How does that work between author and illustrator to get it where you want it?
In my case, I had the text, and I revised it to I workshopped it, and I got a lot of feedback on the text first, and then I went on to some websites to looking for illustrators, and she was there, and I explained what I wanted, and it was real hands off for me because if you're working in collaboration, you hire someone you trust that they have you hire their talent, right? And you want to give
Right.
them free rein because we're artists. You don't want to tell a writer what to do, so to speak, and you really don't want to do that to your artist either. And I said, this is my vision. What do you see? And it just was this collaboration that worked out so well. And I'm so, with the images she showed me, they were just beautiful. Now,
Yeah.
maybe doesn't, not everyone has that experience, but I had a great experience with her. And she knew the text. She put the words and the images together. There were some pictures I wanted, a lot of the horses together in a
Yeah.
stable, and she did all of that. That's her talent. That's 100% the artist.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, I would buy posters of
Oh,
out of
that's
the
good to
so
know.
so there you go. There's an idea because it was just really fun. Just to
Okay,
even as an adult horse lover, I
oh, good. Well,
yeah.
here, thank you for saying that. That's just wonderful. Like she did this, the downtown
That's
Mackinac, and there's
great.
Arch Rock right there,
Okay.
and there's Nellie in the stable looking over the stable door with the other horses. And some of these horses were actually ones that she lives in Wales, and they were the ones from near her house in Wales. I think one of
Oh, I
the,
wondered.
so
Okay.
yeah, she put the horses that she knows in there.
Oh,
So,
that's so much fun. And if anyone's listening to this audio only, make sure you hop on over to YouTube and check out the pictures that we just showed, or just buy the book because they're just wonderful. So that's awesome. Uh, you have on your website a beautiful Palomino named Bella,
mm.
and I just would love to hear more about her. Is she your only horse right now, or?
She was a friend. She's a friend's horse. I
Oh,
had a
okay.
life horse, a Palomino mare, yes, that I adored, and I lost her, unfortunately, to founder. Tried
Oh,
everything I could to save her.
yeah.
But I had a number of horses. I grew up riding quarter horses. Well, I grew up riding a buckskin pony named Lisa, and then after that, it was quarter horses, and then I did a few warm bloods. Had some of those for fun and
Yeah.
dressage, and then I ended up with this life horse named my girls named her Wasi because they couldn't say horsey. So she was just wonderful and I loved her dearly. And there's a famous writer, she was a Western writer, and this is not my quote, this is hers, Julie Thorson. She said a horse's neck can absorb a lot of tears. And I
Yeah.
was going through a tough time in my life, and boy, that horse pulled me through, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, anytime I see a Palomino, I'll stop and feed it a carrot or
They are beautiful. They're one of my favorite
Yeah.
colors out there. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I've never had one, but they are absolutely beautiful. So I also love how you bring in where you live, Wisconsin, into the setting of your stories. Well, I guess Nellie's Island is Michigan technically, but that whole area, I'd love to hear more about that part of the country. Um, it sounds like that's where you grew up and bringing that setting into your books.
I grew up in Wisconsin, yes, which is a wonderful place. And if you don't like the weather here, wait 10 minutes and it will change.
That sounds
And
familiar. That's a little Colorado-ish.
winter here is about 9 months long. And, but that being said, people are fabulous, wonderful sense of humor, very down to earth. We have, great, beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
Beaches, Lake Michigan beaches. We've got North Woods. We've got the driftless area of the western side of the state. Beautiful river.
Wow.
It's just a lovely, lovely spot. And I could not imagine living anywhere else. And so, the landscape and the weather, if you're going to tell stories, they're wonderful plot devices. So if you need the phone system to go down, here comes a thunderstorm or a snowstorm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it works. Um, and unfortunately, like I said, winter's about 9 months long, and spring is kind of our worst season because it's usually gray and very muddy. But otherwise, it's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend visiting.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. I've never been up to that area. I've been up to northern Illinois. That's as close as I've come, but it's definitely an area I would love to explore. So I was curious, what's up next for you? What books do you have going on right now?
Thank you for asking. I've got the Backyard Model Mysteries, which, those are my three funny cozies. They're out now. Model Suspect, Model Wave, and Model Ghost, and I call them The Devil Wears Prada meets a Wisconsin Supper Club. So they're
I
funny
love it.
cozies. I have for 2026, I'll have a romantic comedy coming out, and I will have the horse story series about a nomad veterinarian and who travels the country with her rescue horse Clyde and solves crime. And
I
so
love it.
here's the cover for Horse
Oh, cool.
Story. And if readers want to know more, all you have to do is go on to my Substack Saddles and Stories and subscribe, and you'll get a free download of samples of all those books coming out.
Oh, I love that. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about the horse book, the last one you just held up there. Sorry, I just had a
Sure.
moment and the
Okay,
title
sure.
already went out of my mind. Sorry about that.
Horse
But
Story.
yeah, because we were talking before we started recording and some of your inspiration for that, which I would love to hear a little bit more about.
Yes, this is about a rogue veterinarian who retires from her practice after rescuing a Clydesdale. So it's a Bonnie and Clyde cozy
Mhm.
suspense. And she travels the country and she stumbles into crime. And unfortunately, most of those crimes involve animals. So she takes her, some of her frustrations out and the trauma that she has experienced as a veterinarian in solving these crimes. I'll just put it that way. And this one, for example, Horse Story is a horse, a vet, and a reality show gone wrong. So, and they
Okay.
take place in Wisconsin. And the stories were inspired by, I write stories for readers to laugh and escape. So I do not know sex, no politics, no foul language. I
Mhm.
stay that line. But in this case, these stories were inspired by a website that I found called Not One More Vet. And it is, I'll read it so I don't get it wrong. It is a nonprofit organization. Um, its mission is to transform the status of mental health wellness in veterinarians and vet techs. Unfortunately, due to the trauma they see, they have a high rate of suicide.
Yeah.
So the organization is called Not One More Vet. I'm not associated with them, but if you choose to go look it up, that's up to you and support them. So I wrote this in response to how would a veterinarian serve her mental health? And in this case, she rescued a Clydesdale horse, and he's her blind spot. He can do no wrong. She thinks he's Pegasus, basically, and she treats him like a king. And then she has a romance with the handsome sheriff, and she also solves crime. So,
Oh, I love it. I love it. And One other interesting thing I was reading about you, I was trying to catch up about all your books, but you also write screenplays. And I saw
Yes.
there's a children's holiday horse screenplay. Is that coming to the
Yes.
big screen anytime soon? Will we see
I
that?
I would love it. That one's out on submission. It's called The Night Icelandic Horses Save Christmas Eve.
Okay.
If you if anyone knows about Icelandic horses, they're brave, bold,
Yeah.
beautiful, strong, majestic creatures, and they're come in all kinds of colors. And they're Icelandic, so they're raised on the island, and once they leave, they can't go back. But there's a wonderful population of them in Germany and in Britain and the US.
Yeah.
And I just thought if Santa's reindeer ever became ill and Christmas couldn't happen, who would pull the sleigh? Well, Icelandic horses could. And so when the
Yes.
reindeer fall ill, the Icelandic horses show up, and Santa, he can't accept a gift. There's the irony, right? The man responsible for gift giving on Christmas Eve struggles to accept the Icelandic horses' gifts. And two brave women, two brave, smart women, Mrs. Claus and the North Pole veterinarian, convince him to accept the horse's gift. And so that's the story in a nutshell.
Oh, I love
And
it.
oh, thank you. It's so that one is so fun, and I would love to bring that to the screen in some way. And yes, the teleplay has done well. It won a prize for the Family Film Festival in Florida. And I'm just hoping someone picks that one up because they're all special to me, but I just love that one because Icelandic horses are so beautiful.
They are wonderful. So if anyone's listening who is involved in Hollywood, please check out that screenplay because we all want to see it. There's a huge market for us horse lovers. It doesn't matter how old you are. We all want to see it. What about
Well,
Nell?
to that point, when I submit this, when I
Yeah,
pitch this, I have that statistic. I think it's about 30, even though 30% of all US households will read or watch something with horses, even though they don't own one. There's a
yeah.
huge, huge market for the horse enthusiast here that I don't think is being served, but I'm not the expert. So,
Well, it sounds good to me, and I hope you keep putting out more horse books because I love it. So, speaking of future horse books, will Nellie be returning in any, or
oh, I would.
is her story basically set?
No, she has two more that I hope
Good.
I can swing. She has one in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and then one in Mineral Point, Wisconsin. Two lovely,
Okay.
lovely tourist towns that are Lake Geneva has a gorgeous lake and it's tons of fun. And Mineral Point is a historic town. I think it's one of the first settled villages in the state. And
Wow.
so I would love for her to travel to both of those places, but we will see. I'm not sure yet.
Well, I look forward to it. I hope it happens. So, uh, I would love for you to tell the listeners where it's best to connect with you. You mentioned your newsletter, but and where they can find out about future releases and
Oh,
where they
thank
can
you.
buy Nellie's Island because this is
Oh, thank you for
wonderful.
asking. You're so
Yeah,
sweet, and I'm just so thrilled to be here. And I'm congrats again on this beautiful, wonderful podcast.
thank you.
To find me is probably the easiest place would be my Instagram, which is the Backyard Model. You if you like sunrises and inspiring quotes, that's pretty much where you'll find me. Or my Substack, which is Saddles and Stories. Again, if you subscribe, you will get the sampler of future releases coming up and also samples of the Backyard Model Mysteries. And then if you want author signed copies of books, fill out the form on my website and I am happy, happy to send them to you. So,
That sounds good. And did I see that on Mackinac Island itself, they're selling signed
yes,
copies of these? So, okay.
the,
So if
the
someone
paperback
travels.
is on Mackinac at Island Bookstore. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Because who knows who's going to be taking a trip there. I wish it was me. I would love to go there. That sounds like my place. So that's on my list of places to go. So, well, thank you again so much for coming on the show. I could talk horses all day long. So, like I said, we're just going to have you back because we need
Oh,
more
thank you.
horses. And everyone, make sure you get your copy of Nellie's Island. And until next time, keep your tails wagging and pages turning. Thank you. Thanks for joining me today. Sit, Stay, Read is a part of the Authors on the Air Global Network. If you enjoyed today's author interview, be sure to leave a review and share the episode with a fellow animal-loving reader. If you're curious about the world of working dogs and wilderness adventures, please check out my books at KathleenDonnelly.com. Until next time, curl up with your best furry friend and sit, stay, read.